Going live? We're all good. Thank you all for joining us both in person and online. My name is Callum McCann. I'm a Senior Developer Experience Advocate here at DBT Labs, and we're all here today to see how to build your data team like a community. So this is going to be presented by Kasey Mazza, the Analytics Engineering Manager at HubSpot. If you have any questions during the talk, we recommend that you go to Coalesce How to Build Your Data Team Like a Community on the community Slack. We will have chat champions there interacting with you, flagging questions so that it can be answered by our speaker about an hour or 2 hours after the talk itself. With that being said, let's welcome her on.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Kasey. Thank you so much for coming today. Like Callum had said, you can go to Coalesce How to Build Your Data Team Like a Community over in Slack. I'm going for the longest Slack channel name record, so check us out over there. My name is Kasey, like I said. My pronouns are she, her, and I work at HubSpot, where I manage a team of analytics engineers. I have been doing analytics engineers was doing it for about 6 years. Took about 5.5 years before we knew what analytics engineering actually was and had a name for it. And then about 18 months ago, stepped over to managing that team. And today we're going to talk about how to build those data teams like communities. So like we said, we're here to talk about community. But before I get into what we are going to build, I'm going to talk about what we are not going to build. And that is families. So families are great. We love families. They're a lot of fun, but they can be a little messy. And we don't want families at work. When we create a work family, we create this sense of blind loyalty. And that has proven to be not a great culture to be in. So you get this sense of perhaps making unethical decisions, you're working late hours, you're willing to sacrifice a lot because we're all in this together and it's all for the family. But we're going to shoot instead for a community, and that is the sweet spot. So what exactly is a community? We're going to talk about 5 characteristics of a community and then how to build and cultivate those. The first is to create a sense of identity and belonging. Then we're going to create a shared purpose in a sense of a state of common goals. And we are going to create a sense of autonomy and freedom of expression. So let's talk through three steps to build these 5 characteristics. First two, we're going to talk about our identity and belonging. And the way we create these is by creating intentional space. So your actions speak louder than words. Your values come through in what you make time for. So we want to create and hold space for the things that matter to us and live those values every day. One quick narrator's note before I go into how to do this. This line is not my bad attempt at graphic design. It is intentionally a little messy and bumpy. These things take time. They are messy and they are hard. So that little messy line is going to remind you that throughout this process. So I'm going to talk you through 2 ways that we create intentional space on my team. The first is through career conversation. That's our zone, right? They're like, I want to learn Java. I help them find a project to learn Java and apply that back to our team, and then they become kind of our Java expert. If they said they wanted to learn balloon making, I would say, great, let's find you a course on balloon making and get you out there learning it, and then find a way to bring it back to our team. So remember that we're talking about identity and belonging here. This is not about creating identity, this is about finding their identity. Understanding what's important to them, what motivates them, what are they looking to do with the rest of their life. They have this big open path, how do you help them get there? And then once you know that sense of identity, you can nurture it. And you can make them feel fulfilled, and you can make sure that their skills fit into your team, they balance out the other skills on the team, and then you've created this sense of belonging. So if we had someone who loved creating balloon animals, we would be having a carnival every year, right? Like we're going to cater to those skills and make sure they fit into our team well. I don't think that's me, right? Okay, perfect. The other thing we do is create space for personal highlights, we call them. So every Monday morning, the first thing we do in our team meeting is we put up this slide that is called personal highlights. And this is actually, I took this directly from one of our slides, covered up a couple of faces. But here are the things that people were sharing in this team meeting in probably May. Roses were blooming, someone got new patio furniture, someone had installed a new air conditioner, and then we have people attending weddings and things like that. And why this matters is, again, going back to that sense of identity and belonging. This is especially important remote because you lose those spaces of like casual catch-ups. So making sure that you're creating space for this and creating this space first so that you really get to know the people that you're working with, because this really does matter a lot. This also is going to go back to that sense of understanding what motivates people, then you can help them work into their motivation and lean into it. I'm going to tell you a little story and a fun fact about me. The first fun fact is I hate fun facts, but I'm going to tell you one anyway. I was in a team meeting about 2 years ago, and we were talking about what's in your comfort zone and what's in your panic zone. And I said my panic zone is one-on-one meetings. I hate them. They make me so nervous. They make me so uncomfortable. I often delete them from my calendar. So flash forward 2 years, one of those 8 people in that meeting now reports to me and has weekly one-on-ones with me. What a lucky guy. I'm sure he's thrilled and looking forward to those meetings every time. But what I have learned is to actually really look forward to those meetings. And it's because I'm not forced to small talk with a stranger. I'm talking to someone within my community, and I understand their identity and how they belong and how we relate. Here are a few other things that we are doing to create intentional space. One is venting and sharing and normalizing emotions. This project is really hard, and here's why, and can someone help me work through it, or can someone just hear me? I'm having a hard time with a stakeholder, don't name them, we don't want to shame anybody, but just put it out on the table that sometimes some of this stuff is really hard. I'll give you an example. This morning I came down here for my tech check in my slippers. So I'm just normalizing that fear and that nervousness, and then we're all on the same page. Another thing we do is meeting people across our org with similar roles. So about 3 years ago, one day I just put a random check-in on the calendar, invited all of the analysts I could find across HubSpot. Let's all grab a beer in the kitchen on Thursday night. And that has now turned into a quarterly session where people share what they're working on, what new tools they're using, any interesting analyses they've done. And then after that, we have a mixer where we talk through important things like career goals and how people are achieving them, but also things like, is a taco a sandwich, and the other groundbreaking questions like that. We create space for knowledge sharing and upskilling. We're creating space for diversity, inclusion, and belonging, because again, what you make time for is how you demonstrate what matters to you and what you value. So a quick CTA, if you're in the Slack chat, share the way that you create intentional space with your team. Maybe we can start a thread in there so people can get ideas from each other and we can create this big kind of ecosystem of space creation. All right, going back to our 5 characteristics, I'm going to jump down to the next 2, which are purpose and goals. This is having a shared purpose and common goals. And the way we do this is by setting clear expectations. So again, intentionally messy line. This is hard, and we feel you. So let's jump in. We need to set clear expectations with our team from the day that they start. And this does not mean telling them the exact rules. It means giving them clear guardrails on what's expected of them and what is not. So for example, you can't set the speed limit as exactly 30, but maybe you set it as a range of 20 to 40 and try to keep them within that range. We are not dictating exactly what it is they should be doing, but giving them the guardrails to operate within. This creates an open line of communication from day one. So you send out the accountability or the expectations, and then you create this sense of accountability, where you have agreed to this document that says, here are our expectations, and you can point back to that document and say, here's where we're off, and here is exactly where the accountability comes into play. Let's fix this one specific expectation. And this goes both ways. So I tell my team what they can expect of me, so then they can hold me accountable as well. And this is what you would expect from a community, right? You need to have expectations of how people will treat each other and how you'll operate. Make sure that this is a community that you want to be in and you see the values, or see values that you agree with. This is especially important when you are remote or hybrid. A lot of this stuff used to be observed. You would see people take off from their desk to go eat lunch. And now that feels like crazy behavior sometimes to step away from your Zoom for 20 minutes to eat lunch, but that is normal, so let's keep normalizing it. So everybody on the team kind of sets the norms, but it's really up to the leaders to set the tones and the expectations of the team. Leaders can be anybody. Leader does not mean manager, but step up into that leadership role and help to set these expectations with everybody. What I will prompt you to do here is think about what type of leader that you want to be. And this can be aspirational. It does not have to be where you're at now, but it's something that you want to aspire to and get to. It's something that you can get to. For example, I'm not going to say I'm the type of leader who is 6'5". I'm going to say I'm the type of leader who is excited to come to work every day. Maybe. Okay. So again, this is going to be aspirational. It's okay if it's not where you're at now, but you would maybe say things like, I'm the type of leader who is fair and equitable, is accessible and approachable, leads by example. I'm the type of leader who holds others accountable. I'm the type of leader who makes others feel supported and valued. I'm the type of leader who is cool, calm, and collected. So I challenge you, if you take nothing else away, take this away and think about the type of leader that you want to be. Write this down, craft it up, iterate on it, share it with your team, and then do the same with your expectations. Again, write it down, share it out, say it every morning while you're brushing your teeth, put it on a Post-it, tattoo it really big on your arm, whatever you need to do to remind yourself every day that this is the type of leader that you want to be so you can keep working towards it. I'm having clicker issues if you guys can't tell. So the other thing I do to set clear expectations is when my team starts, they get a 32-page slide deck of the expectations of our team. And I know it's overwhelming, and I tell them it's overwhelming. It's meant to be a reference guide that they go back to. So it has things like, you're not expected to be on Slack 24/7. If you want to shut your video off on Zoom, please do so. And just set those expectations right up front so they know what is normal. One thing that we have in that deck is our code review expectations, and let me share that with you now. So I know this is small. I'm going to read you the important parts. You will note on here there is nothing on here about capital versus lowercase or anything like that, but this part at the end is what's important. When completing code reviews, we challenge ideas and not people. We approach code reviews with curiosity and assume best intent. We review work closely and we offer suggestions for improvement because we deeply value the success of our individual peers and our collective team. So again, this is not about syntax, this is about expectations. And right there in black and white, I'm telling you what I value. We value the success of our peers and our team. And this is setting that expectation early. Another thing I note here is curiosity and best intent. And this is going to bring us into our last of the 5 characteristics. So as a reminder, these are our 5. We have talked through identity, belonging, purpose, and goals, and that brings us to autonomy. How do we create a sense of autonomy and freedom of expression within a team? We do this by leading with empathy and curiosity. Curiosity, by definition, is the desire to learn. So we're going to get through this characteristic by asking 3 sets of questions. The first is to ask for more information. There's some animation here, if you stick with me. Okay. Ask for more information. So never assume anything. And by this, I mean you're not telling someone how something is done when you think it is wrong. You are asking them why they approached it that way. Why did you use this function? Why did you put the parameters in this order? Why did you use this color orange on this slide instead of something that's a little easier on the eyes? So when you're asking questions, you're giving them a sense of autonomy. You're allowing them to come to answers on their own. You're finding out how their brain works, and you can then work with them in their brain. Again, reminder that our goal here is a sense of autonomy. So you're asking them to take you through their decision-making process instead of dictating their decision-making process. Reminder that this is hard. I know I've said that a few times, but just last week I messed this up pretty bad, and I'm still thinking about it, right? I told somebody that we shouldn't have done that way, and he was like, actually, I misunderstood the question, so the conversation would have gone a lot differently if I had asked why at the beginning instead of telling him. So I have a hard conversation coming for me next week, and I'm ready for that. Another thing is ask how you can help. Helping is your job as a community leader, as a manager, whatever it may be. Your job is to help the people around you to succeed. One thing I've found interesting when I ask people how I can help them is they give me the things that they do not like to do. So they say, you can help me by doing this project, or you can help me by jumping in on these tickets that I cannot stand. And then I'm starting to learn what motivates people, what energizes them, what they're proud of, and I can help them to lean into that side of their work and pull them out of the stuff that they don't love. And then they're finding their place and their belonging within the community that they feel most empowered. The last thing is asking for feedback. We at HubSpot say feedback is the breakfast of champions, but you can ask for feedback in many ways. I ask for personal feedback. I ask for operational feedback. I may say something like, do you have any feedback for me? Or I may say something along the lines of, what did you think of that meeting? Or what project are you really dreading right now? To get that feedback from them in different ways. One thing I did about a year ago with my team is I asked them to get together without me in a group and come up with a list of feedback for me and things that I could do to improve or things that were going well. I had only been a manager probably for 5 months at the time. I was having a lot of imposter syndrome. And I'm going to share with you actually a screenshot of what they said. This is a little bit of me being vulnerable, but I really believe in transparency. So here's the list they came back to me with. 5 strengths. Didn't read them. I went right to the areas of improvement. And I read the first one, and it says offering opportunities for all. And I'm like, that's bad. That's a bad one. Of all the, well, first of all, nice of them to call them areas of improvement and not weaknesses, because they are certainly weaknesses. But this to me was like, do I have a bias? Is something going wrong here? So I get with them and I ask them for more information. Before I jump into kind of the outcome here, I have to tell y'all, we have a Slack channel where anybody across our entire 7,000 person company can ask us questions about our data. They ask us, where can I find this? Am I calculating this right? And it's chaos, and we absolutely hate this channel. So as a manager, I thought I was protecting my team from this channel by going in and answering all the questions and leaving them to their projects and their work that they were energized by. But what I found out from this follow-up with them, they said, when you answer questions right away, it makes it feel like you don't trust us to give the right answer. And that hit me hard, because I was like, I thought I was protecting you and protecting your time and energy, and I do trust y'all, so that was hard to hear, but it has changed for the better. That was a really pivotal moment for me. And again, that comes with feedback and empathy and curiosity and asking them what is working and what is not. I'm hoping they were not regretting that now. The channel has got so much worse, but we'll get rid of it soon, I promise. One last slide for me. The reason why this works and gets back to autonomy and gets back to our sense of community is because they are each member of our community is a gear in this system. And if they are not happy and they don't feel like they can succeed, the whole thing breaks. So if they can't self-govern and they can't say, this isn't working for me, then this whole thing falls apart pretty quickly. So we have to let them self-govern. We have to let our community self-govern, but we have to give them those guardrails to do so. Again, their success is the success of the team. So here we go, the 3 steps to building community, a nice summary slide to build for us all. The first is creating intentional space to create that sense of identity and belonging. Next is setting clear expectations to create that shared purpose and common goals. And finally, we have leading with empathy and curiosity to create a sense of autonomy and freedom of expression. I've said this a couple of times, I'm going to say it again, this is hard. It takes time, it's very complex, it's deeply complicated, but you have to start now, and it will build over time. The longer you wait, the harder it gets. So doing this, you can help to really create a team that you love. Before I close, I have one final slide for you, and it's that we're hiring. My recruiting team would not let me get out of here without saying this, so we are hiring a whole bunch of engineers, data scientists, and architects over at HubSpot. So if you're interested, let me know. And with that, I will close. Thank you.
Thank you so much for a great presentation. Alrighty, if anyone has any questions, please go to the Slack channel that is being shown up on the screen. Ask any questions there. Kasey will be available for an hour to 2 hours, going in the Slack channel, answering any questions. And we'd like to thank everyone for joining us both in person and online. There will be another talk, I believe, in this room in about an hour and 15, so that people can take a break, both online and in person, and have some food. Hope to all see you back in about an hour.